we'll get into some of our payroll entry options. Okay, so let's go back. Now that we've done a little bit with creating the breaks, I'm going to go back and show you a couple other entry options. So I think the quickest way of doing payroll entry is with the Crew Sheet Wizard. And your mileage may vary, but we have added a lot of variations to this, to where even if you don't have a crew set up or predefined with employees, you have to have a crew number at least, or crew ID saved. But even if you have no employees on it, you can now type in the numbers as you do your entry. So when we go into the Crew Sheet Entry Wizard, we have to select a crew. And then we again select our crop, or I have cost accounting enabled, so my system says cost center ID, our job, and the grower we're working for, and again we use the button to assign a time sheet or crew sheet number. Now we can say whether this timesheet is daily or weekly, so I can go ahead and say we're doing the 18th, and maybe this particular day is a day we're paying a base hourly, making sure everybody earns $15 an hour, but we're going to add an extra 50 cents a box, or maybe it's $1 a box, or whatever you decide. So then we can define our number of hours, or if you want, you can also split at this point in time the regular hours and break hours. And one reason this is helpful is for the high heat areas where you may want to change certain employees. Again, we're trying to automate things in the program, but really you need to make sure what you pay is what actually happened in the field. So if an employee needs an extra break, that employee can take an extra break if they are having signs of heat illness. So I'll show you in just a moment. If you do the break time here, it's a little bit easier to edit by employee. Now, if you have a crew already established, this is where we can say display them in account number or alphabetic order. Or if we don't have our crew established, this is where we can say custom and then put in the employee's number and how many pieces we are adding on top of our hourly pay. Or if you're just doing straight piecework, you can use this to do just straight piecework. I'm just doing an example so you can see the base hourly. And again, if you need your lookup in here, you can hit the F4 key to bring up your lookup. And you can also do your searches from there. So when we're done, then it will go to a final review where we can make additional edits or corrections. So if a particular employee, maybe he left early, he only worked 6.7 plus his break, or maybe again we had an employee, they needed an extra break, we add on a half an hour of break time and we can adjust their regular hours. This also allows you to do a second piece and second piece rate. So if they had two different pack styles, different boxes, and they were paid at two different rates. So this screen allows you to do those as long as you are using the same job ID. So you can review across the top your information for the employee. Down the bottom you can check your total pieces and hours and number of employees. And then when you're done, then it will create your hourly line, your rest line, and your incentive pieces line. So like I mentioned, that's something that some customers are going to guaranteeing they make minimum wage and giving a bonus so they don't have to track non-productive time. Now, this wizard can also be done for weekly timesheets. So we're trying to get away from, weekly piecework because there's so much involved that should be, tracked as far as dates or times and breaks and everything. But this is an example of one of our customers that was getting the timesheets in at the end of the week that had the pieces and the hours for each day here. So with the crew sheet wizard, what we do, and let me see if I can use Jose's crew. Doing some pruning, and they had a weekly sheet. So we have our dates for our entire week. And let's see, okay, yeah, they're getting paid piecework and getting maybe $250 a tree or whatever they're doing. So now we can put in what's the hours they work each day. And if there is a common number of pieces, we can do that. If everybody varies, we don't have to worry about that. We can just leave that blank. Again, we can select alphabetic or account number if we already have them set up, or we can select custom if we don't already have them set up. So then I can just go ahead and, oops, that guy is in a different state. And I'm just going to do a few employees here to give you an example. When we hit next, we are now going to edit the hours. So like we see the first employee there only worked 6.5 hours that day. So we can edit his hours. This guy on the 23rd, he only worked 6, so we would edit his hours. Somebody didn't work, we would blank out the hours. Then the next grid is where we go through and key in our pieces. I think I only did 5 days, so I'm just going to do 5 days there. So across we can check the pieces for each employee, and going down the bottom we can double check our pieces for each day. This is the quickest, like I said, with weekly timesheets. Using the custom option if you don't have them pre-assigned, and then using this weekly if they're not doing different jobs, not doing different locations, this can be one of the fastest methods of payroll entry. And when we finish, we just hit next, and then all of our lines are created. And then again, if we didn't do breaks on the wizard, then we go and we do our breaks. Okay, so you can play with that. You can always go through, do the crew sheet wizard under timesheet just to practice with it. And you can do delete all lines to delete them if it's not a real payroll. Or if you just want to start, if you're barely, getting into harvest, you're not quite ramped up yet, this might be something that you want to try a few different methods and see what might make your payroll entry faster.